You guys, I don't think that Dusty May and Michigan basketball are messing around. I don't think they're joking. Let's talk about the season opener, and then we'll get into some football stuff right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Thank you for making us your first listen, and thank you to all of our everydayers out there. We very much do appreciate it. So today we are going to we're going to start off with basketball. We will do that for probably one segment, maybe two, and then we're just going to talk some overall general overarching football themes here. We're in the bye week, so there's a lot to just kind of dissect now that we're through it. Obviously, we've had our shows going over some things. Maybe some of it will be rehash. I'm not sure. I have thoughts that it's kind of like, did I share them? Did I not share them? It's kind of how it goes. But let's start off with basketball, because Dusty May and Michigan basketball were shot out of a cannon on Monday night at Chrysler Center. Late tip, 8:30. Got home pretty late, 12:30-ish, after all was said and done. I mean, if Dusty says that the biggest highlight was Charlie May getting his first basket, and in a way it kind of was. You saw like the excitement if you were there. It was just crazy. Like more than half of the crowd had left at that point, and that was the loudest I heard it in the entire arena. But man, speaking of shot out of a cannon, Morez Johnson Jr. Do I have that right? Why am I second guessing myself? You ever do that? You ever second guess yourself? Like you're like, I'm pretty sure that's right. I do that on the show constantly. Half the time we just move on. But Morez Johnson Jr., the Illinois transfer, it's funny because in the first moments I was like, okay, Adeye Amaro is going to be that dude. And then Morez Johnson's like, hold my beer. Shouldn't be drinking on the job. Shouldn't be doing that. But nonetheless, 24 points. That's a career high for him. I just closed the window that I could go and look at some of these things. Let's see if I can pull it up quickly. I can. Good. I just want to see how many minutes he had. 20 minutes, 24 points in 20 minutes, 10 of 12, missed both of his 3-point attempts. Those are his only two misses. But otherwise, I mean, that was incredible. What he was able to do. Adeye Amaro had the first 4 points of the game. He finished with 12. Namari Burnett, quietly very good. Obviously, Axel Lendeborg, but we got to talk about Trey McKinney as well. I mean, he was right behind. It took, and especially when all of the reports coming out of training camp and everything, and the exhibition, the portion of the preseason there was like, yeah, Trey McKinney's got some work to do, and he comes out and scores 21. Like drained threes, like no problem. Incredible as far as, I mean, he was 6 of 8 from 3-point land. No one took as many. Will Shetter, shout out to Will Shetter, by the way. I know we're just kind of rapid firing here, but Will Shetter, shout out to him for going 4 or 5 from 3, because we know that's in his repertoire, but it just feels like a lot of times in the last couple of years, you see Will Shetter out there and it's like, oh, he's got an open 3 and it's in and out. So for him to drain that many, incredible. So all in all, I mean, we'll probably go a little bit more through some of these guys, but that's just kind of the prelude, the prelims to all of this, prelims. And I think that what was just really cool, though, was that this was just an offensive explosion in the way that Dusty May had promised when he got the head coaching job. I remember sitting there in the Jung Center saying, like, one thing I can promise you is that this team is going to be fast. It's going to be fun. And that's 100% what it was. It was fast. It was fun. The passing, like Dusty May said after the game, sometimes they were passing a little too much. Like they had open looks that they were passing up. Felt like I saw a couple from Yaxel that could have been that. But they were definitely like, it was funny because this was the most points ever in a first half with 69 points, 121 overall. And that was the most points scored in a game by Michigan since 1990. And yet this didn't feel anywhere close to a finished product. no disrespect to my guy, Juwan Howard, but like, man, usually these season openers, it's like, yeah, I got a lot to work. I mean, there was a lot, Dusty May still was like, yeah, we got a lot to work on. We got this and we got that and whatever. But this just feels a lot different than any of the Juwan Howard years, including the one where they just rattled off a bunch of wins to start the season. Right? I think they won like 13 in a row or something like that. That feels like a distant memory at this point, especially because it had been bad for so long. But this was dominance in a way that I mean, everyone kind of hoped it could be, and it certainly was. But again, it doesn't feel like it's a finished product. There were some things, defensive lapses, the perimeter defense. It's funny because there's still like some of the same issues that have gone, like they've been issues since the John Beilein era. Yet this is 2 coaches after John Beilein. Perimeter defense, still an issue. Even though they only had 8 turnovers, I felt like the nature of the turnovers was like a level of recklessness that kind of felt similar to last year or any of the other years, really, again, back to the John Beilein era. But I mean, 8, limiting it to 8, good. But like they were scoring before you knew. I'd look down at my computer to look at stat broadcast or look at a text that was coming in, pull up Twitter or something. And I'm accustomed to being able to do that during a Michigan basketball game without missing anything. And it's like, and I missed it. And I'm not going to get a replay because that's not how it works. So I just missed the thing that happened, right? So that was incredible to watch this Michigan basketball team go out there and be fast, be fun. So much winning. I'm already tired of winning. I mean, it was, I mean, again, it's the caveat. It's Oakland. Oakland is intermittently pretty good for, being that mid-level team, low to mid-level team, right? Like, but, you could see Greg Campy getting really animated on the sidelines. I mean, that's not normal. I mean, not abnormal, but, you could see him getting, really frustrated. And you can understand why. I mean, that Michigan just overpowered them time and time again, through and through. It was an incredibly dominant performance. Let's talk a little bit more about the game. Let's get more into the individual performances, and then we'll talk football. Let's do that here in just a moment. But before we do, the NBA is back, as is college basketball. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. One of the things I didn't even get into was bench points. 55 bench points out of the 121. I didn't do any due diligence here, but I don't remember the last time Michigan had that many bench points in a game. And this wasn't just because like, oh yeah, they were playing a bunch of also rans, the student managers ended up coming in the game. I mean, some of them, not really the student managers aside from Charlie May. But like, Oscar Goodman got 15, 20 minutes, and that's why. I mean, he had 9 minutes. Charlie May had 7. Malik Cordell had 8. This wasn't because of that. This was just because, obviously, when you have Yaxel Lendeborg and Trey McKinney coming off the bench, good things are going to happen. Will Shatter, who had 16 points. I mean, you had, 9 guys? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. Out of the group that ended up scoring in double figures. The only ones that didn't were Elliot Cadeau, starting point guard, who did have 12 assists, was kind of more of a facilitator, just kind of quiet. He did miss a lot, 2 of 7. You'd like to see him be able, if he's on top of everyone else being on, then I mean, that's going to be a thing. But him, Oscar Goodman, Charlie May, Malik Cordell's the only one who didn't score, but that's it. The ones that were single digits. So really good. 46 points in the paint. Still got the size. You could see that happening when, especially a Day Mara underneath. I felt bad. This, like, we're kind of stream of consciousness right now. My apologies. I kind of felt bad for Malik Cordell, who didn't attempt a shot in the game. Always seemed to be in the right place defensively and was being scored on quite a few times. Felt so bad watching him. But, I mean, Yaxel looks like a man out there amongst boys, and I can't wait to see him flex. He was perfect in the game. 12 points, but went 4 of 4, 2 of 2 from 3-point land. Hit his 2 free throws. He had 4 rebounds and 3 assists. So, I mean, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Did have the 1 turnover. Again, 8 turnovers, and not one person that was like, man, because like you would have that last year. You know, you'd have Danny Wolf and just be like, he's making some really interesting passes, but some of those are careless. You didn't have like one culprit. It just kind of felt like there was only one player with more than 1 turnover. That was Roddy Gale. So I think that's interesting. They listed a Day Mara with 5 blocks. He almost certainly had more than that. He had more like 8. But like with the 46 points in the paint, I think it's interesting because you have a scenario where you're still like, I mean, that's not the bulk of it, right? Like at times, you know, from Hunter Dickinson forward, it felt like Michigan relied way too heavily on points in the paint. That's not what's happening here, and that's good. And they're not relying on fast break points either. They only had 10. This isn't just like, oh man, they're streaking. Like they were playing fast, but they were also and playing with tempo, but they were doing what they needed to do, right? So that is incredible to watch them do these things. They're ranked 9th right now in KenPom with the 14th offense and weirdly 7th defense, which I thought that the defense sometimes wasn't that great. Kind of felt like it could have been a lot better. That's part of the finished product. But I mean, Oakland wasn't exactly finishing like crazy or anything like that, but I still felt like the defense was languishing a little bit. And I thought the offense was better than it's currently ranked as far as this is concerned. It's also surprising that adjusted tempo, they're 35th on KenPom. Would have felt a lot faster. They are the third highest of those ranked ahead of them. Florida and what else was I saying? Florida and Illinois are the 2 that are ranked ahead of them as far as that's concerned. And then Arizona's 4th, which is their 10th, ranked 10th, but they're the 4th adjusted tempo. But according to KenPom, nonetheless, man, I mean, that was about as impressive. And keep in mind, some of these teams haven't played that are ranked ahead of them. Purdue, Kentucky, Duke, one of them, Florida, who's actually 0-1 so far. And Duke, you know, they there's a few here that are ranked ahead of them, but you know, it is what it is. But I mean, to me, like this feels like this could really be one of those special years, and it doesn't feel like some of those past teams where it was like they've got a couple guys who can hurt you, but that guy is the star. I mean, when Yaxel Lendeborg is your 6th man, which, you know, I don't expect that to be an all year thing, but when he is your 6th man, and Morez Johnson Jr., who's expected to be like a player, but not like the guy that's going to explode out the gates. And here's the funny thing is Dusty May says, yeah, but he's still a little hurt. He's still coming back from injury. If he didn't have some of those issues, those injury issues, then it would have been a lot worse for the other team. Like, he didn't put it that way, but you know what I mean? Like, it would have, like, he could have gotten, he said, maybe like 4 or 5 more buckets. So we're talking 34 points. I mean, that's kind of shocking in a way, because it's just, we're not accustomed to seeing, we like, as far as like the scoring, you're used to seeing kind of like this type of thing where it's 14, 11, 12, 24, 21, 12, 16, right? That's okay. That sounds like a mission. Like, you're not used to seeing like, 40. But he could have been. And the funny thing is, you know, that some of these other guys can go off too. And, you know, we're still like, LJ Kaysen still hurt, working back his way back from injury. Like, we're not seeing anywhere close to finished product. Now, you don't expect to in the first game, but and you expect to be able to run a team like Oakland I don't know that you expect to run them as well as they did this past game. I mean, this was an incredible season debut. You win by 43. Could have been worse than that. I mean, that's an incredible start to the season for Dusty May and company. So there's that. Let's talk a little football with the time that we have left together. Let's just go back into it. I know we're all feeling a little angsty about football. I see all of the I don't see the comments necessarily, but I see some of them. I see how much the dislikes come in when we're talking football these days. But we're going to talk about it here in just a moment. But before we do, college football and basketball is back. Couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals like last night. Get in the door at Chrysler for $7. That's how incredible it was. College football games, you can find those for about $25. The app makes it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying, and I love zone deals too. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. So take the guesswork out of buying college football and basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tip. I'd mess this up every time. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, and download Game Time today. All right, I'm actually, while the plan, I haven't talked to him, the plan will be Jack Tuttle tomorrow and then Connor on Thursday, the usual. Kind of funny when you think about it. Not really funny. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's a usual occurrence on this show. But I'm looking forward to Connor talking about some things. I know kind of his mindset isn't terribly dissimilar from mine. He's not freaking out about the offense the way that a lot of you are. Thinks that Michigan's gotten a lot better in a lot of ways. If they had 10 things to work on, they've gotten better at about, he'd probably say 7 or 8. The big things are glaring, but they're things that have worked earlier in the season. And I'm just kind of preluding a little bit of what I know he's going to say in 2 days. But I'm not nearly as concerned. Like, there are some things that are concerning, right? But it doesn't mean I am concerned, is the best way that I can put it. That's a little bit of a rehash from yesterday, but that's kind of where I'm at here. And I think that when you've got an offensive line that's gotten a lot better at run blocking, and yeah, the pass blocking leaves a bit to be desired. But it wasn't like they were doing a lot of the things in the last 2 games in particular that have been kind of the bread and butter previous to that. So I think that in a way bodes well, right? Because there's the boot game hasn't really been like a key feature to the offense the last couple weeks. But defensively is where it is just getting better and better. And I know they gave up some drives to Purdue, but I mean, held them to 16. They held them under 300 yards. And that's an offense that tends to get more than that. Let's, just because it's the stream of consciousness that we do, let's take a look real quick just to see where that game stands defensively for Michigan in terms of Purdue and its overall output. It was their lowest output by total yards in the entire season, the lowest output in terms of yards per play in the total season. So that is big for Michigan. That the defense is coming on strong with so many young players that were playing. I think that bodes very well. So you look at some of these teams, Michigan State, they had their 3rd lowest output against Michigan of the season. The only ones where they got more yards were or less yards were Nebraska and UCLA. Okay. I mean, those are good defensive teams. Remember that. I know you want them to be at the highest and whatever. Washington is, I believe Ohio State's just slightly ahead. But they got 249 yards against Michigan, 234 against Ohio State. So Michigan's defense really is playing at that level right now. They're 18th in the country. I thought they'd be a little higher. Obviously, they got shredded by USC, who just exposed them for their flaws. But that's the thing. They fixed the glitch. I love using that Office Space line. They fixed the glitch in a lot of ways. So what's next is because a lot of you want to look at it and say, like, how is this going to happen against Ohio State? Well, it's like we talked about yesterday. Styles make fights. Ohio State is, even though that they, I think, are working to fix the glitch in some ways, right? Like they're becoming more dominant in the trenches. It'll be interesting to see if Michigan can still, because that was the case last year, and Michigan still, both sides of the ball, really kind of was able to do what it wanted to do. Not like in a way that was like 21 or 22, right? Or, 23 was a little bit more of a fist fight, but they were still able to do what it needed to do enough. And outside of that Purdue game this week, Michigan has been much better at home. So again, the caveat is you go on the road, you figure out how to do some of these things that you need to do against in atmospheres that you don't like, against teams that have different strengths and weaknesses. And I think that having a bye week and being able to get healthy, I think that's just going to play a big part in this game, or in this season here, is if you can get some of these guys back. Now, Justice Haynes, I'm not sure, obviously, if and when he comes back. For anyone who looks at it and says, like, oh, Michigan State might have been his last game, might have been. Remember, we're in the NIL era. You can, they can certainly, you can look to the transfer portal. You can ride with what you got, Jordan Marshall and Savion Hyder next year. Or you could even be like, we're going to try to find a way to retain him for another year. We want to see what we are going to be with him for another year. Obviously, you need receivers. It's kind of weird that, like, Andrew Marsh is just far and away the best receiver on the team right now. You'd like to see that connection with Donovan McCulley come back, because like it was there against USC. And then after that, like Washington, it started to fall off, and Andrew March was the one. And it's been a few games where we haven't really seen a lot of Donovan McCulley. And I'd really be interested to see if he can play a big factor here down the stretch, because you need both of those guys. I'd like to see more Zach Marshall, I think, at this point, than Marlon Klein, lest Hogan Hansen somehow actually return healthy, which we haven't seen all year. So that is kind of where I'm at with all of it. But again, I have concerns, but I'm not concerned is the best way that I can put it. Now, I do expect the offense to have some struggles against Northwestern in a week and a half. And because Northwestern basically forces everyone to struggle for the most part. It's a defense that's ranked just behind Michigan in terms of total defense. They've given up 421 yards to Tulane. And that's it as far as breaking 400. Oregon had 373. That's the closest. Then you've got two slightly over 300, UCLA and Purdue. And then everyone else is under. So Penn State was under. I know Ethan Grunkemeyer and all of that, different team. Nebraska had only 296 yards against them. R.I.P. Dylan Raiola, who's out for the year. But I do expect it's going to be hard sledding for Michigan. They've given up. Northwestern's not given up more than 34 points in a game. That was to Oregon, and then beyond that, it's been in the 20s, if that. 23 to Tulane, 21 to Penn State, 28 to Nebraska. So Michigan's going to have to find a way to score. And that's the biggest thing, is finding ways to take advantage of your opportunities when you get them. That's the biggest problem to me. It's not just the pass game, whatever. It's having drives and then finishing them. Because before it used to be like, man, they're settling for field goals. Lately, they're not even doing that. They just they're driving the field and they're turning the ball over. They got to figure out how to finish, have the killer instinct. That is the important thing. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Again, the plan is Jack Tuttle returns valiantly defiantly, angrily. No, not angrily. We'll talk to you then. Peace.